the Lordship said that we have heard, we have seen the record, and we dismiss the petition. Therefore, I am not going into the details. Otherwise, my lord, I can show details also. But there are reasons, my lord, why it is not challenged. My lord, when you don't have a case on the floor, you don't challenge it. That's as simple as that. But let's not go into it. Why they have not challenged it? It's definitely not because this petition was filed and dismissed. Because none of the petitioners say that this petition was filed, heard by this court, and dismissed, and therefore we are not challenging it. They came to know possibly only when I pointed out in my written submissions. So far, it was not on record. Now, Lord, page 95, 1912-2018. Lord, proclamation under Article 356. Lord, here, my lord, I must answer one question. Lord, suspension of proviso to Article 3. My lord, that was an argument. Lord, there are two arguments. The argument was advanced with a nuance that this was a device to bring certain legislative enactments or certain parliamentary actions by suspending the provisions of the article, the proviso to Article 3, namely the reorganization. Like that was the allegation. Correct, my lord? Your lordship recollects that. As a matter of fact, right from the inception of this country, whenever President's rule is imposed, proviso to Article 3 is stayed. We have studied each and every proclamation issued by the President under Article 356 with regard to each and every state, not Jammu and Kashmir. Proviso to Article 356 is suspended in every case, and please have a look at, my lord, the chart which I have, my lord, placed at page 227 of this very file, my lord, of this very volume. As if we did something surreptitiously because some sinister plan was in the mind. This happens right from the inception. The first President rule was in Kerala in 1957. Since then, my lord, we have studied, and my lord, we have the learned AG also has the volume, my lord, if your lordship would like to see that. But I have said so. So please come to page 227 of this very volume, my lord. 226, my lord. So please see, Andhra, Arunachal, Assam, Bihar, Goa, everywhere, my lord, suspended. The lordship would come to page 9, clause 9, erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir. Twice, 86 and 90. On both the occasions, the proviso to section Article 3 was suspended. There is a reason, my lord, why this format is used. It's not to do something surreptitiously. My lord, in S.R. Bomai, the law laid down, and I will come to that, the law laid down is that the legislature cannot function without council of ministers. When that is the position here, additionally, the legislature was dissolved, but otherwise also, whichever provision of the constitution mentions something to be done by the legislature, that provision is suspended. That's the format to be used, being used from the beginning. 1977 was the first use of 356, 59, 59. Mr. Nambudripad's government was removed and the President's rule was imposed. That was the first and perhaps the most controversial imposition of President's rule. There also suspension of 3 proviso was there. We have the notification if your lordship would like to see that. The first use of 356. This is the idea. This is the purpose. Whichever constitutional provision says use of some legislative act by way of making law, by way of views, by way of recommendation, those provisions stand suspended during President's rule. It was not with a view to do something which they claim to be a fraud on the Constitution. That's the respectful submission. Now coming back, my lord, to page 95. Lord, once the President's rule is imposed, your Lordships are aware Article 356 requires that it needs approval of the Parliament. Both the houses will have to approve it. Lord, last but one date, 28th December 2018. A resolution approving this proclamation issued by the President on 1912 was passed in Lok Sabha. I have given, my lord, my counter affidavit's number. This is not a fact in dispute. 3rd January 2019, approving this proclamation issued by the President on 19/12/2018 by Rajya Sabha. Correct, my lord? Now, my lord, during the President's rule, there are certain steps taken, my lord, with a view to infuse confidence amongst the people. My lord, there were situations, my lord, which were alarming situations. Everything won't come on record. My lord. Pulwama happened in February 2019, etc., etc. And the government will have to take certain proactive steps. Now, that first step is 1st of March 2019. But this is a well-considered administrative decision-making, keeping in mind several factors: national integrity, sovereignty, security, border issues, internal issues of the particular state, etc., etc. Please see, Lord. Using the power under Article 371D, CO 271 was passed, which extended. Lord, please allow me to delete 61st Amendment. Lord, that's a mistake. And kindly, my lord, delete in your lordship's copy also. It was applied earlier. Nothing turns on that, my lord, either way. It is a simple mistake, but just to put the record straight. Then 77th Amendment and 103rd Constitutional Amendment, providing for reservation in favor of economically weaker sections of Jammu and Kashmir, and for providing reservation in promotions. Now, please note this. It may be noted that this was during the currency of President's rule, similar to impugned CO 272. However, the same has not been challenged till date. Further, the power under Article 371D to issue CO has been exercised during President's rule on 6 occasions in history. The note 1. The extension of this amendment, my lord, this is the relevance. Please note this, my lord. Something may turn, something may not turn, but it may satisfy a lordship's conscience. The extension of this amendment to the state reinforces the fact that in terms of social justice policy of reservation, the state of Jammu and Kashmir is governed by Constitution of India. Acceptance of social policy of the Union further means that Jammu and Kashmir does not and did not have a sovereign right to determine the social policy at odds with that of the Union. Thereafter, my lord, President's rule is extended on 22nd July 2019, and thereafter please directly come to page 97. But one fact, my lord, from Mr. Sibbal's notes, my lord, I may show. Mr. Sibbal, my lord, in blue, has said that several questions were being put to the minister. Are you going to change 370? Are you going to take some steps? And the minister concerned, my lord, used to say that we'll act according to the constitution. That's all. But please see, my lord, just above 28th of June 2019, the question is put post Pulwama and the answer, my lord. Please see this. The question, Srimati so-and-so, ask question number so-and-so, 1. Your lordship gets, my lord? Charging, my lord?
Referring to page?
I'm sorry, my lord, page 97. Lord, but for this, my lord, e-filing, but this kind of matter, my lord, it was very, almost impossible, my lord, to effectively argue. My lord, page 97, date 26th June 2019, from my learned senior Mr. Sibbal's my lord, note. Srimati so-and-so, ask question number 485 from the Minister of Home Affairs as to A. The viewpoint of the government regarding Article 370 and 35A in respect of Jammu and Kashmir. The policy government is working on to control the terrorist activities and details thereof. Then Sri Reddy, my lord, MOS Home. At present, Article 370 is a part of Constitution of India. Under the title Temporary Provisions with respect to the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and Article 35A is contained in the Constitution, application of Jammu and Kashmir Order 1954, issued by the President under 370. B and C. The government has adopted a policy of zero tolerance towards terrorism. Effective response is given by security forces to counter terrorism activities in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. In order to combat activities of terrorists, several steps have been taken, including strengthening operational grid, enhancing coordination among security agencies, effective retaliation of terror acts. Please mark this, brother. And this comes, my lord, immediately, strengthening the ROP to protect convoys, etc. Correct, my lord? I leave it at that, my lord. I don't wish to elaborate it further. My lord, since the president's rule was extended, my lord, it had to again go for approval. Both the houses, my lord, respectively on 28th June and 1st July, my lord, approved the extension of the president's rule.